The Urban Forestry Master Plan is a commitment to a greener and healthier Columbus. Today on City Chat. Joining us today is Rosalie Hendon, the first female city forester, to discuss Central Ohio's first comprehensive tree canopy study and its impact on our community. Rosalie, thank you for joining us on City Chat today.
Of course, Josie.
Could you first tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience and the new role as the first female city forester?
Sure. So I've always had a passion for understanding how humans and the environment kind of interact. I did my undergrad in ecology and then 2 masters at Ohio State in both public administration and environment and natural resources. And really my goal there was, because I'm so interested in environmental policy and especially what role local government can play in protecting our environment. So as I was finishing up at Ohio State, I started interning actually with Columbus Recreation and Parks, and I've been there ever since. That was back in 2017. So I spent a lot of time in our planning division, and while I was there, I had the honor of leading the Urban Forestry Master Plan. And so ever since 2021, when that was approved, I've been involved in the implementation. So I kind of came into urban forestry from a planning and policy side.
What would you tell them is like the most important thing about our trees and forests and preserving our environment?
Sure. I think trees add so much in the urban environment, so it's really stressful, sometimes to walk down a street and, it can be hot, air quality, right?
Yeah.
Like living in a city can be, stressful at times. So it's really nice to have trees. Like they are actually cooling the air, not just providing shade, but they're actually dropping the temperature. They're filtering out air pollution. They're reducing flooding. They're improving mental health. They're just a really important component of our urban environment.
Yeah, definitely. So when you guys were forming the Urban Forestry Master Plan, what was the purpose of the tree canopy study, and how was it conducted?
Sure. So there was a previous study published in 2015, but that study only looked at the city of Columbus boundaries. And so when we're thinking about these ecosystems like a forest, they're regional, right? It doesn't really matter if a tree is growing in the city of Columbus or, in the village next door or, township or a municipality, right? It's all kind of one regional forest. And so when we got the opportunity to do this new study, we actually did it countywide. We partnered with Franklin County. And so now we have tree canopy information across the whole county, not just city of Columbus boundaries. It's also the first time that we've had a look over a time period, right? Rather than just one point in time. We would always get the question well, how has our canopy changed? With the old study, we didn't know. So with this study, we actually looked at 2011 to 2021, and we saw that our canopy's actually grown in the city and in the county. But of course it changes a lot, depending on what area of the city, growth and loss.
And what is canopy?
Oh my gosh, yes. That's such an important thing, and usually I say it and I didn't. So tree canopy is, if you can imagine looking at Columbus from the air, what percentage of land is covered by trees? As opposed to water or, buildings and roads or open fields, right? So it's trees. And what we've found is that 22% of Columbus is covered by trees. So that's our tree canopy metric. And it's actually a really important, I'm glad that you asked, because the Urban Forestry Master Plan is, its overarching goals are about tree canopy and actually trying to increase our tree canopy over the coming decades.
Is 22%, is that a good percentage, or what's the ideal?
It's better than Cleveland, is what I usually tell people. Cleveland's at 19%. No, there's a good graphic in the master plan, but we're lower than Minneapolis, Pittsburgh, a lot of our surrounding Midwestern counterparts. So really what I tell people, it varies city to city, but we do have a goal of increasing. So we have some intermediate goals to stop net canopy loss and to invest equitably by 2030, but our 2050 goal is to reach 40%. So it's very ambitious. It's almost doubling our canopy.
Yeah. The tree canopy study is a part of the Urban Forestry Master Plan.
Yes.
What are some other projects that are coming out of that?
So it was really exciting. We got our street tree inventory updated as part of the master plan. It took 2.5 years. because we have, it turns out, 126,000 street trees across Columbus, as well as 96,000 planting spaces. So those reports are available online, and I think it's been a really good tool for residents and area commissions to see, what is there, what street trees do they have in their neighborhood. We also, of course, we did this assessment. The public tree code, so we updated our public tree code for the first time in 30 years. That was passed by council last December, and it takes effect on August 1st. So we're ramping up for that. Yeah.
What could you tell us a little bit about the code and what?
Sure, yeah. So like I said, first time in 30 years, there was a lot of modernization we wanted to do. The biggest change, though, was we included tree mitigation for the first time. So tree mitigation is if we have to remove a public tree that would otherwise stay, right? It's not like it's dying, but maybe there's a project construction that's going to impact the tree, and so it won't be able to stay in place. What do we do to make up for its loss? Okay. So for the first time, this is now in city code that if a tree has to be removed, it has to be either replaced, either by replanting or by a fee.
Right. Wow, that's really cool. So Arbor Fest is coming up. Can you tell us about that?
Thanks for asking that. So this is the first annual Arbor Fest that Columbus has. It's modeled after Westerville has an Arbor Fest, and so the Clintonville Area Commission's Green Spot Committee was very inspired and wanted to bring something similar here to Columbus. It's happening in Whetstone Park on Saturday, August 24th from 1 to 5 p.m. It's a free family-friendly festival. There's going to be live music and food trucks, but also the opportunity to go on guided tours, learn more about the trees and other native plants there in the park. And we'll also be present, Columbus Recreation and Parks, we're partnering on the event. We'll have forestry, arborists, and other staff to show some of our vehicles, a climbing demonstration, some of the tools of the trade, and kind of expose, the community to what we do every day in urban forestry.
Yeah. As the first female city forester, what are some of the challenges and what are some of the empowering things that you feel in this new role?
It's really exciting to lead Columbus because we're such a, big city. To be a part of that it's always been really exciting to work for Columbus. We do have other, women city foresters in some of our surrounding municipalities like Gahanna and New Albany, Upper Arlington. But I think what's exciting about leading Columbus is just the sheer size of our operations. Yeah. So it's an honor. I think like any, municipality, we always struggle. Actually, we're hiring, so if anybody's interested in working for forestry, we always need help, especially on our tree care crews. Yeah. So I think that's probably a challenge, is just keeping up with the demand and the sheer number of assets we have to maintain.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything else that you would like to add about what you're doing and any messaging that you would want residents to hear?
Sure, yeah. So I'd like everybody to know, sometimes I find residents who don't know that if the tree is growing in the tree lawn, it's likely a public tree or a city tree. That means you can put in a 311 if you're concerned about it. If you see maybe it has an issue, maybe you're worried it's hazardous, we'll have a regional arborist go out and inspect that tree. Same thing, if you want to plant a tree, let us know and we can put it on the planting list and get it planted.
What is your favorite species, your favorite
This
tree
is a
species?
fun question. My favorite tree species is white oak. Okay. So it's native. They can grow for like hundreds of years, really strong trees, very beautiful. Oaks are also oaks in general are one of the best trees to plant if you're interested in helping wildlife. There's a really great ecologist, Doug Tallamy, and he has wonderful books, but he talks about how important oaks are in particular to the whole ecosystem and the food chain and all of that. So so I'd have to say white oak.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Rosalie, so much for coming in and talking to us. It was a pleasure having you.
Great, thanks, Dixie.
I'm Josie Smith. Thanks for watching City Chat on CTV.